Music has benefits, I'm not your ordinary cheat. I've got a lot of love to share with little short and nappy hair. Taking time to let you know I'm my own kind of beautiful. Think it's a sexy girl, don't just be ashamed. No, 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 no.
And women of all races, all nationalities. Hair is a very important thing. So I want to first of all tell our audience what alopecia is. Let's talk about that a little bit. And I know that you were with Jada Pinkett Smith, the whole bald thing, and the joke that Chris Rock told about Jada Pinkett. We're going to get into all of that. So first of all, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you. Where were you born and where do you live now?
Well, again, thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate that. My name is Darlene Phillips. I was born and raised in a small town, Columbia, Mississippi, and I'm now located in Fairfield, California. And alopecia is what is alopecia? Alopecia, so many things to so many people, but it's actually a hair loss, any type of hair loss across the board. That's the bottom line, whether it's from cancer or if it's medically diagnosed. Your body thinks that your hair follicles are harmful to you, so it doesn't allow those follicles to come through on your head.
So how do you get alopecia?
It just happens. It's an autoimmune disease. Sometimes you can have multiple ones. I also have vitiligo, which is the pigmentation, like Michael Jackson had. It's so many varieties and diagnose and of alopecia that it's hard to, just say what those are. But it is the main three, or alopecia areata, which actually starts in your scalp like quarter size. And they can be, start in the back of your head, front of your head, side, and you can have multiple bald spots throughout your scalp. And there's the alopecia universalis, which only affects the skull. And there is alopecia totalis, which affects your whole body. You don't have any hairs that grows on any of your body.
Wow.
You have no eyelashes, no nose hairs, no hairs on your body. Wow. So those are the main three. I have what is more of the male pattern, which is actually androgenic, alopecia androgenic. So the hair grows on the side and the back of my head, but it doesn't grow in the crown of my head. And a lot of men that we see, they're not even aware that they have alopecia, so they just, constantly just think it's because of age. And
so that's when they have the bald spot on the top and they have hair on the sides. That's alopecia.
Yes, like Bozo the Clown, but
yeah.
So mine doesn't grow in the crown here, but I have hair that grows all around and all in the back. Wow. So this part I do have to shave. I have a little little twigs in the top here and there, but for the majority of the part, I have the androgenic alopecia.
So when did you know? I guess take us back to a point where. Hey, September Rain, how are you? Welcome to the show. This is Darlene Phillips.
Hi. Hello. It's so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thanks for having me on your show.
Yeah. So
Thank
she's
you for
telling us
being
a little
here.
bit about alopecia, which is a hair loss. And
Hmm.
I was just going to ask you, when did you first notice that your hair was, you was losing hair on the top, but you had hair on the sides?
Approximately 2003, 2004, I noticed that my hair was thinning in the top. And I
Mm.
actually thought it was because of a hair piece that my hairstylist had added to my hair. So when I took it
Wow.
out, of course, there's hair on there because it was glue. And then it just started, thinning more and more. So from that point, as it started to thin more, I changed my hairstyles. I went
Mm.
to the Jerry curl because that gives you more curl and more volume. And
Right.
I never used a lot of the gels and the spritz and that spray. I would normally, what I do was roll it to make it appear thicker. So I would use those
Mm.
brush rollers that they have to make it more like a curly style. And I
Okay.
went from that to finger waves,
Mm.
and from that to
Mm.
quick weaves, between the quick
Uh,
weaves and the weaves. And those were the styles
do,
that I selected.
do you think that glue had something to do with you getting alopecia? Or, I mean, once the hair follicles are, I guess, manipulated, because that glue it was not good. I remember people doing
Hmm.
quick weaves with glue and lost all their hair. Do you think that was a kind of a catalyst to alopecia?
I originally thought it was, but as it started to spread, and I only had one strip, and it was
Uh-huh.
probably 4 inches long. So that was my initial thought of where it started. But after it started to spread and thin more in the crown, I knew it was
Mm.
more than that. And my physician actually knew that I had some type of hair loss, but because he wasn't a specialist, he couldn't tell me what kind of hair loss I had. And he had constantly reminded me to, or suggested that I see a hair specialist.
Yeah.
And I refused that because I didn't want to know. I didn't want to know what it was. And that went
Hmm.
on probably for like 8 years that he would ask
You
me, "Are
never
you
went to a
sure?"
dermatologist between that time, or
I I didn't want to know. I just knew that I had a hair loss, and at that point of the
Mm.
different hairstyles, it was a fix. It was a cover up, and
yeah.
that's what I just chose to do. And looking back on it, my dad had the same. My
Mm.
dad had the androgenic hair loss. My mother had thinning hair, but she
Mm.
never had it as where it was one of the major diagnosis of alopecia. But she had an autoimmune disease, which was lupus, and I know
Mm.
that sometimes thins your hair as well. But no, I
Mm.
never wanted to know. And it's like anybody else; they're not going to look for help until they're ready.
Yeah.
And we
That's
find
true.
Mm.
that out when the pain, or when you feel that it's it's your time to actually find out
Mm.
what it is that's wrong with it. We all have, a time to let we take care of our body and what signs and symptoms of our body, and we ignore those a lot of times.
Yeah.
So like I said,
Mhm.
all of the other hairstylists that I was able to have, which camouflage and cover up the true me. So when
Mhm.
I
Wow.
started that, actually I got my diagnosis in 2016, and I
Wow.
just took it, filed it in the drawer, put it away,
Mhm.
continued my normal hairstyle that I was doing. And then
Mhm.
in 2018, it was like a divine push for me to uncover myself and stand in my truth and be who I really was. And it was just, I contacted National Alopecia Areata Foundation, and I was telling them that I wanted to be a support leader.
Wow.
And they said, well, they asked me if I had alopecia areata, and I said, no, I have alopecia androgenic.
Mm.
And we talked for a few minutes, and she said, I'll send you the paperwork. So when I got the paperwork a few weeks later, I looked through it and I again put it aside. And I I wasn't sure this is what I wanted to do, but I had already been um, talking with a lady from my church who actually ended up being my co-leader for my LSP support group.
But
So
how
her
did you
daughter,
go from being in denial to being, being a, support person? That was a big transformation. But September, do you have any questions? How important is hair to you? Um,
Very. First of all, Miss Darlene, I just want to say you are so brave, and I
yes,
admire your courage right now. I really
yes,
do. I admire that because there's so many people out here that are afraid. Their image, everything is about image.
yeah.
So I commend you for that.
thank you.
But
Absolutely.
when I saw your pictures, I'm like, man,
Mhm.
she's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes,
I mean, it's like when
she
you come
is.
out in your true authentic self. I mean, it's just something about you, just like, man, she is so beautiful. Let me cut my hair off,
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
it's like, I guess when you made that transformation, you really was your true self. It just something came alive. But how did you go from being in denial to like, hey, let me start this group to help other people?
Well, that's what was that I truly believe and I feel and I in my heart that that's what God wanted me to do. It was time for me to not think about myself, but to think about others who is actually having the same issues with hair loss. Yeah, hair
Mhm.
loss is very important to everybody, but mostly women who want this long flowing beautiful hair, and then when
Mhm.
you lose it to a disease that's totally out of your control, you don't know
Mhm.
what to do. But like I said, the
Right.
beginning of 2018 was when it was like really laid on my heart that it's not about me anymore. There's other people out there who needs help. And for me, myself, to just be that person to stand out and they can see me in my truth, which would allow them to go along with the process and then be in their truth. I
Yeah.
um I was talking to my co-leader and I was telling her about it because her daughter ended up having alopecia areata at the age of 4. She contracted disease until 2000 when she was 16, from 4 to 16, and from her 16th, like she's 28 now. So her hair has grown back, but it doesn't grow back maybe 2 inches. But she
Wow.
knows that at any time that she can wake up in the morning, in the middle of the night, and all of her hair, or it can start, can be gone. And that's the way alopecia works. It
Yeah.
can be the night you have hair, in the morning you wake up, it could be on your pillow, or you can be in the
Right.
shower, and it's all gone. But my transition thing, like I said, it was earlier in 2018, and I contacted them, wanted to be a support group leader, and I had already talked to my co-leader, which daughter who had alopecia, and when I called them, they, like I said earlier, they asked me what type I had, and they went into it that these were the options that they offer for support. So I got the paperwork, went through that, kind of read through it, set it aside. Then maybe a couple of months later, I picked it up again and I called her and I asked her some questions that I needed answered to complete the forms. And she said, "You have alopecia areata?" And I said, "No." And
Hmm.
she says, "Well, this our foundation is alopecia areata. That's one that support. That's one they do the research on." And I'm thinking in my mind, like, what difference does it make? What type you have? It's like cancer.
Mhm.
American Cancer
Right. Yeah.
Society, any type of cancer is associated with
Mhm.
that. So that's what I thought. And I
Yeah.
asked her, I said, um, is there a problem? And she was like, I would have to talk to my manager in order to approve you to be a support group leader. And I
Wow.
said, okay. So she said, I'll call you back this afternoon. And she didn't call me back that afternoon. So the next morning I got up and I walked in the office and I saw the papers on my desk and I said, well, Lord, if this is where you want me to be, you will make it happen. If it's not, I believe you would guide me to the platform that you want me to be on.
Yeah.
So she called me back the next day and she said, well, we're going to go ahead and approve you to be a support leader. But only condition is I have someone on my core team who has alopecia areata or one that was caring for someone with alopecia areata. And immediately my co-leader, and I had been talking to her, for months. She came to mind and of course, she agreed to be my co-leader, but I asked her, what was that conversation like when you talked to your manager? And she said, no, I didn't talk to my manager. I just felt in my heart, this is something that you wanted to do.
Wow. Yes.
So I said to her, I said, well, you never had anyone in your foundation to be a support group leader who didn't have the alopecia areata diagnosis? And she said, no. So I said, so am I the first? And she was like, yes. So according to them, I'm the first that has been approved to be a support group leader for their foundation. And at that point, I knew it was all God. We always say that man says no and God said yes. So I told him that this was something that I really need to do. And mind you, I didn't know that much about alopecia, what it was, how it affects people, how it depresses, have someone to commit suicide.
Yeah.
And I still
Hair is a big deal. For me, I'm just a hair person. I love different type of hairstyles, and it's very important. And I think society, we look at hair as our crown of glory. Even in the Bible, Samson had this magnificent hair, and that was his weakness. So Blay is here. He had technical difficulties, and I just want to say that this is going to be a great show. And what we're doing is so wonderful because we haven't, I was having technical difficulties. Lay is in his car. He's so committed to what we're doing here. Lay, thank you for coming. I want to introduce you to Miss Darlene Phillips, and she's educating us about alopecia, which is a hair loss for men and women. So you can jump in, introduce yourself to her, and then we'll continue the conversation.
Yes, how y'all doing?
All
My
right,
name
how
is
you doing,
Paul. I'm
Lay?
the founder of 15 Dynasty Management. And yes, I've been having technical difficulty. This is a new system we're going through. That's probably why. But how everybody doing today? How's the panel? How's the guests? And most important,
Blessed.
how is our fans? I want
Yes,
the fans to know we back on the air and we
yes,
we are coming stronger as ever.
yes, we are. Yeah,
So how you
Yeah.
doing today?
everybody's good, and thank you for your diligence, and you just kept trying till you got in. So alopecia, Darlene, is alopecia more prone to African Americans, or is it just a hair disease of men, women, and any races? Because we think about, like, black women, they always used to laugh at our edges, and I think the edges because of the perms and the chemicals. But is that anything with alopecia with us as black women?
It is with Black women, but it's nationwide. Babies can have it. I have one girl she's now 6, and I've been a mentor to her for the last 3 years.
6 years old?
6 years old. She's just turned 6 years old
Wow.
weeks ago. But her mother tells the story from 18 months till 22 months, she lost all of her hair.
Oh my goodness.
So with men, women, boys, and girls, it doesn't discriminate. It could affect
Okay.
anybody at any time of life. Mostly for men is where I'm reading it from 35 till 50, they've lost 50% of their hair.
Wow.
Yes, with
Oh.
our African American women, for me, then, and I've done some research on that. It's is what they call traction alopecia, and not only African American, but more perms, more braids, more pullback ponytail
Mhm.
hairstyles, anything that makes strengthen to your hair where you're pulling it, and then you can
Mhm.
easily lose your edges. And I
Mhm.
know we have the edge control and the edge grow
Mhm.
back, whatever all those chemicals
Yeah.
or products
Mhm.
that you can use. But it is even wearing wigs. It's
Mhm.
because it pulls your hair, the bands
Mhm.
pulls your hair out on that too. So it's none. It doesn't affect anybody.
But you know what?
Everybody,
Yeah, at
anybody.
any
Yes.
age. Yeah, like I said,
You
you
know
can wake
what?
up in the middle of the night and then your hair is gone.
Oh my
Go ahead,
goodness.
Lay.
Yes, yes. I like to expound on that. And I always was saying that when it come down to people of color such as ourselves,
Hmm.
a lot a lot of that have to do with when it come down to females, what they eat, what they put
Mhm.
in their system, and also what they use on their hair,
Mhm.
which basically eat into the roots of whoever use certain type of chemicals and stuff like that. Um, and it's also what you put in your system. Because if you ever go back in history and read about that, it never happened until recently. You have a lot of Africans that
Mhm.
does not go through the same process, or majority of them don't have that problem because of what they eat.
Mhm. Do you
Mhm.
agree with that, Darlene? Do you think it has
Um,
something to do with our diet?
I
And
haven't read or any research that I've seen that it has anything to do with our diet, but like, and he maybe had missed the part earlier where it's your body thinks that your hair follicles are foreign. It's foreign to them, so it fights it out. One of the little girls that I saw at one point, she was like, I was in the store, and she asked me why I don't have hair,
Mhm.
and her mom was there, so I asked if I could just talk with her on that. She was like, "Yeah." So
uh-huh.
I was telling her what alopecia is and how it doesn't. My body fights my hair from growing, and she was like, like this, like fighting it, with her little hands that she had up.
Yeah.
But it's hereditary.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Like I said, Africans have it. I just
Mhm.
did a research, and I did a global fashion for peace based on um, hair loss. And with that research, 40% of Africans do have alopecia. We're talking about women in this area. And I
Okay.
look at it because they don't want to deal with the texture of their hair. So they
Mhm.
wear the wigs and they wear the weaves and that. But dealing with
Mhm.
that, it's all what your body is medically, and also, like I say, traction alopecia, the perms and the chemicals that we put on our hair, and
Mhm.
a lot of other Caucasians or whatever Asians, whatever they want, they use a lot of those same products. Maybe not the
Mhm.
perm to straighten it, but
Right.
they do use the braids. Some of them use braids now. You see more of those with braids. You see a
Weaves
the
and full
pullback,
weaves.
yeah, with the weaves and
Yeah.
the ponytail styles, which put stress on your hair.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But it's
But you know, one thing I notice, and with my hair, the less I do to my hair, the better it is. Like now, you leave it alone, wash it, put a little conditioner on it. And I think Lay and I talked about historically as growing up, it was always trying to straighten our hair with the perm and the
Mhm.
straightening comb.
right.
And
Mhm.
once we just let that alone, and
Mm-hmm.
just let our hair just do what it do, it's okay, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think too, in terms of when Lay was talking about Africans, I always think about people say our hair don't grow, but I think
Mm-hmm.
about the locks and how long, if you just leave it alone, how
That's right.
long it is and how
Mm-hmm.
thick it is and how strong our hair is.
Mm-hmm.
But
That's
the
right.
more we do to it, and the more chemicals, and
That's right.
even
Mm-hmm.
like just putting, like conditioner on my hair. If I just spray it
That's
with
right.
a thin spray or something, it's okay. But the more I do to it, the worse it gets. So as you
That's
go
right.
along, you learn about that.
I have
Go
a
ahead,
Mm-hmm.
Les.
question. Oh,
You
sorry.
know, again, she said 20% of the Africans have that problem. Is that correct? Did I hear that right?
Well, in my research, it was
Women,
like 46% of women in Africa have alopecia.
yeah,
And
Okay.
Wow.
when I look at it, it's
Yes.
a lot of them, we don't like the texture of our hair. So we do
yeah,
the
Well, yeah,
perm,
yeah.
we do the
See,
weave.
and this is what I was going to say. You know, a lot of these Africans that are having that problem, them the ones that trying to dye their skin tone white
yeah.
or trying to look
Wear
other than who they
wigs,
are. What if
and
you
they
look
probably
at
wear
the
a lot of weaves and wigs too.
Mm-hmm.
Because anything we do, they do. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
that's
exactly, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
What a lot of the Africans they let their hair, they wash their hair, just let it grow, and their hair is strictly long in the whole nine
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because they taking care of their hair the way it's supposed to be.
yeah,
We are not the type of people that's supposed to be using makeup or any type of chemicals in our hair. Our texture of our
yeah,
hair is not made for that.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It
The
was so
texture of
funny,
our hair is for protection.
Mm-hmm.
but it was so
Even
funny. At,
even
go
the
ahead, Lamb.
men, we are not supposed to cut our beard because our beard is the protection of our skin.
Mm, I didn't know that.
Quick
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
question.
Let alone putting some type of chemicals on it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we wasn't never the type of chemical people. At one time, if it was something wrong with our skin or we having a problem, the African woman she used to go in the backyard, get some leaf, you take the
Yeah,
leaf and you good.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think too. I was just gonna say, um, this. I wear my hair, and at my school, one little boy said, "How do you get your hair like this?" I said, "Well, how do you get your hair like your hair?" He was Mexican, and I just looked at him and walked away. And it's like people look at me and like, oh, all the kids like, oh, I like your hair, I like your hair. It's something that is not they don't see every day.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to ask you, Darlene, did you try any remedies? And I'm always on YouTube. And I was thinking about that because Lay said, you get the berries, you get the aloe vera, you get the cloves, all these different home remedies. Did you try any of those?
The only thing I tried was Rogaine.
Oh, okay.
Rogaine is like you put it on every day, and you have to put it on every day in order to keep the hair growing. In my experience, once you stop, the hair stops to grow.
Oh
And
Oh,
my
there's
goodness.
always the steroids, and I hear more people who went through those, the steroids in the hair to help their hair grow. And I'm not going to have anybody shoot anything in my head.
ooh,
So
Mm-hmm.
like he was saying, like the remedies. And I think that's part of my not wanting to know what was wrong with my hair. Why was I losing my hair? Because I grew up in the South and there was always remedies for this and that. We never had a lot of pharmaceutical products that we would take, it was always grandma, big mama, somebody who had something to help that could go out and get it, natural herbs.
Yeah, yeah.
So I never wanted to try any of that. And I never went to the doctor a lot, till I got grown and, on my own. I had more experience
Yeah.
in having a medical doctor. We only went yearly, for our shots when that was. And some of my siblings had ailments that they went often, but I was never one who was actually like willing to go and figure. I'm just like, I got to deal with it. Find a way
Yeah.
to deal with it.
Mhm.
Find a way to camouflage it, cover up, and still have my confidence that I had. But
Yeah.
I was still, missing that part of being totally who I am and authentic
Mhm.
who I, me and being and standing in my truth because I didn't want people to know that I had this.
Mhm.
You got a lot of static.
Yeah.
How you
Yes.
doing? I just have a question, Scott. Um, does when children have alopecia do they get bullied? Do they have a group to deal with that issue and educate children, other children, what's going on?
Well, there is, NAF, National Alopecia Areata Foundation, they have children alopecia sections, all of those. There's, pamphlets and information on that I even have that can give to the schools so that they understand what these children are going through. Yes, they are bullied. We just had one of our on one of our Facebook pages, and actually the mother was on the Red Tabletop last week talking about this. Her daughter, 12 years
Oh
old,
my
committed
goodness.
suicide.
Oh my God.
Oh Lord.
So
She
it's
had alopecia, Miss Darlene?
yes, yes. So they were,
Oh,
pulling her caps off, pulling her wigs off,
I'm so
and she couldn't
sorry.
take it anymore. And one thing that I know for me is as I was researching
It's terrible.
2018, September 2018, I was really researching what alopecia is and what it does. And I read this story about this Australian lady who had attempted suicide 15 times
Oh my
and did
God.
not succeed. And
Oh
that
my God.
story, it was like, it hit a soft part in my heart, spot in my heart. And that was like, I got to help somebody. If it's one
Yeah.
person's life that I can assist in saving, that's where I want to be.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know that September was National Alopecia Awareness Month until the month
Wow.
of September 2018.
Wow.
Doing my
Wow.
research and seeing how depression affects a lot of the people with hair loss who has alopecia.
Mhm.
It's out
Absolutely.
there. It's out,
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I just say something?
Go ahead, September.
I believe that it's self-esteem. A lot of it has a lot to do with self-esteem because I myself have worn weaves and stuff throughout the years, and people are cruel. You know what I mean? Like they're just if your hair is short, you're not popping, or you're not. You know what I mean? Like this is how the world views it. So
Yeah.
a lot of that is compressed energy from what other people have put on you, labels. And
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
internalize that.
I
That's
agree.
absolutely
I
true.
definitely
Yeah.
agree with
You
that.
know.
I
Yeah.
I myself was, have been in that place where I didn't think
Mhm.
I was pretty enough. I
Mhm.
Mhm.
wasn't light enough. I wasn't good enough. I've
Mhm.
always been a
Mhm.
person with confidence, and
Mhm.
a person to stand out.
Mhm.
Not being bragging or about that, but it's just people notice me and I know in my surroundings and my career. My dad, when I was in the fourth grade, I went to integrated to an all white school before integrated, and he would always come to the school concerned. We're in the South, and he was concerned that I'm only the only woman of color that's out on the playground that's playing. And
Mhm.
I'm like, Dad, I'm okay. I said,
Yeah.
they call me names. I call them names. That was just the way
Okay.
the
Yeah.
ball rolled
Mhm.
at that time.
Yeah.
So, I'm not black, I'm brown, Well, it's like,
Mhm.
well, I'm
Mhm.
white, you're not white, you pink. Those were kind of things that we did. But he was
Yeah.
really
Mhm.
afraid of me. And that stuck with me through my career and being the only woman of color in a lot of my sittings, or one of a few of us, So I revert back to my dad saying the fly in a bowl of buttermilk because I stood out, and that's not
Mhm.
that I was meant to be for me, but it's what God wanted me to be.
Mhm.
He wanted me to be
Yeah.
places. He wanted me to be noticed. And that's
Yeah.
just, you know,
Mhm.
it just happens that way. Not that I want to put myself in front of people, but different
Mhm.
people, but different in the way he created
Mhm.
me. He created
Yeah.
all of us different
Mhm.
in our own uniqueness. And that's
Mhm.
what I want to stand in. I
Yeah.
want to be uniquely
Absolutely.
the way he wants me. His will is my will for my life, and that's where
Amen.
I stand.
Yes.
At this
You
time, I
know,
want to ask. Oh, sorry, Jamil. I know I'm jumping in.
go
Uh,
ahead.
Ayanna Presley is a colleague of mine. Have you met her, the senator from Massachusetts?
I have not met her,
Oh my
but
gosh, she's so beautiful with her bald head.
Right?
I love her.
I haven't
Yes.
met her, but we part of her group, which is called the Ball Life Community and Ball Life Magazine. She was on the cover of our magazine on the fourth issue of that. So we're on to our fifth issue that, but she was on the cover that, she did, we did a Zoom call with her and she was mainly saying, like she wanted to stand in her truth. She just wanted,
Mhm.
how young people were admiring her and she felt like
Beautiful.
I'm not being truthful. I'm not being transparent. That's so,
Does
yes.
she have alopecia, Miss
She
Darlene?
has alopecia, yes. Yes.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. So she talked about, her signature braids and that in the book and how, her life was and how, during her election that she went out and met some lady 5 o'clock in the morning to get her, her hair and stuff together for one of her, electoral events.
Oh, okay.
But
Wow.
yes, I admire
That's
her.
amazing.
Yeah. And we don't know. I mean, there's a lot of celebrities out there that has
Yeah.
alopecia.
Yeah, probably a
You,
lot of people. But
mhm.
I wanted you to go back to the day you were telling me, I want you to tell everybody how you took off your wig and you just shaved your head. And can you could tell us a little bit about that
Yes.
enlightening moment?
Well, it was like I said,
Oh.
2018, the beginning of the year, it was like on my heart that this is something that I needed to do. So I was saying, okay, I'm going to do this. Like I said, doing more research on what alopecia is and how it affects people. And I was like, oh, I'm not ready. I said, I'm not ready. So I went back, I got some more Rogaine and I was doing other treatments, like holding my head down, count to 100, to 100, hoping the blood flow would come to my head and my hair would grow. Bought a, a shaver to shave my hair off. Look back on some of the things that I had was like, oh, okay, I'm going to Amazon and I'm gonna, all these hair filters and sprinkle on your hair and all that. All of that stuff came to like I said, I wasn't ready. But
Mhm.
the day that I decided no more, it's not going to be anymore. I'm going to be me. I was having an event at my house with some family and friends, and my sisters were here. So we setting up everything, and she tells me, she's like, "Well, you need to go get dressed because your guest is going to be arriving." So okay, so I go in and I get my shower, and I'm looking in the mirror, and I said, this is it. This is me, who I'm going to be. So I took the shaver out and I shaved my hair right then and there and walked out and met my family and guests. And it was so warming because everybody was like, we love it, we love it. And so that was my first, my family and my friends and stepping out, being bald and being in my truth. It was just
Mhm.
amazing.
Wow.
And then
Wow.
next day was Sunday and I went to church and I was like, oh, should I sit in the back or should I go to the front? And I usually sit in the front, unless I'm
Mhm.
on my hospitality week, I have to sit in the back. So I walked down the front and my girlfriend is there and she's an usher. So she's, got her hands out to greet me and stuff. And she's like, oh my God, she goes, you're
Mhm.
beautiful. So,
Ah.
being in the
Mhm.
company of my family and friends, was really amazing. And one of my best friends, back up a little bit, and I was telling her, I said, you know what? I'm thinking about cutting my hair off. And she said, all of it. And I was like, yeah. And she was like, it doesn't matter. You're going to look beautiful anyway. Mind you,
Yeah.
she always told me that I look good with short hair. She goes, I just think you're
Wow.
at your best with short. She goes, now I can't stand you because you look even more beautiful. But
Yeah, you are. You're
Yes.
stunning.
I have, someone,
Shining.
But you know
fans that
what?
are there for me at any time. And whatever I do, they are there. And that I can say gives me inspiration to know that people that love me and care about me,
Doesn't
got my
matter.
back and
Hmm.
support. Yes.
Doesn't
You go,
matter.
girl.
Yeah.
Lay, you have a comment? You're
Yes, yes.
back.
I have known a lot of sisters that would have a certain type of problem with their hair, and they came to the conclusion just to cut it off.
Mhm.
And you know what? They look more attractive than they did when they had hair.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Now you can't even get them to grow back their hair.
Mm. Yeah.
They also have organizations, especially in the South,
Hmm.
with all of these sisters with bald heads. I mean, it got to be over at least a couple of hundred of them, maybe a couple of thousand of them. And every year they will get together in Atlanta and they look wonderful.
Mhm.
Is that your
Oh.
organization, Darlene? I know you're, is it Boss Ladies or Bald Lady,
It's
Bald
Ball
Boss
Boss
Lady?
Community. It's not the one that I'm in. Why we the group that I'm in, it's a Facebook, it's a private page. And it's private because everybody is not comfortable with people knowing that they have a disease or a bald head or they have hair issues. So it's a
Hmm.
private page, and you have to have some type of hair loss to be in the group.
Okay.
But
What is it called? Boss
it's
Ladies
Ball
Global?
Boss. It's the Ball Life community page, Ball Life
Okay.
magazine, and
Okay.
Jamie Elmore is the editor in chief of that magazine, and it's all about bald women, children's of all races are included there.
I
Very
want you to tell us a little bit about, I tried my best to download your videos with Jada Pinkett Smith.
mhm.
And I know you're gonna come back in September for the alopecia month, and we're gonna do something with you in the magazine. So hopefully, we'll show it then. But
Hmm.
explain to me how your connection with Jada Pinkett Smith, and we'll go from there.
Well, the Jamie Elmore, which is our editor in chief of Ball Life magazine, and she's the founder of Alopecia Support Group as well. She was in connection with another lady who had Bald Boss movement, and one of the girls on the page reached the members of the page reached out to Red Table Talk, and they said we want Jada to join our group. And so, with that being the connection that we had with Bald Boss movement, we were a selected few of us were invited to. Oh, there's a book right there. That's 100%. To join her on an audience, video audience. So I got a call from Jamie, and I was at work, and she was like, "We got this call," and she goes, "Wait a minute." She goes, We got this call to be on the Red Table Talk." And she goes, "You can't tell anybody anything about it." So I was like, "Oh my god!" So I was, so excited. And initially, it was going to be. She said, "Well, you can come to Seattle," because they were trying to have limited connections, like Zoom people on the call. And she said, "Well, you can come to Seattle, and I don't want to leave y'all." I said, "Well, I'm coming to Seattle. If it means it means I got to come to Seattle. I want to be a part of that."
Right.
So we ended up talking, and I said, "Oh, I need to just tell my boss." So I called my boss and to tell her, and I said, "It's not an emergency, but it's an emergency." So when she ended up calling me back, but before she called me back, I got a hold of her. Then Jamie had said that they were going to have more screens, and I didn't have to come to Seattle for that.
Okay.
But I was like, I'm going. If I got to go to Seattle, I'm going. But just the
So you were a part of, I kept trying to download it, but I saw you in it was a it's like this, but how many people was it? Like maybe
I believe it was like 18
25,
or so. It was in the high
15?
teens. I can remember counting.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
and
were
I saw
all on
you.
it. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I
So
saw
leading up
you on
to
the
that,
Red Table Talk.
yes.
How did that change your perspective on your work as a alopecia advocate?
It was a highlight, definitely, of my life. To be able to be a part of a celebrity such as Jada Pinkett, to be able to be there to support her, to be able to just be on that platform of people to see that the world can see that you're not alone, that you do have
Yeah.
a great support group that's behind you. And you're not going to look for help until you actually wanting help. And I
Yeah.
find that out to, a lot of my groups and a lot of people that I talk with, but it's a process. And for her to be able to, I watched her, along the years where she started wearing her wraps and stuff. And some of the the articles I've read that she had some type of hair loss. So when she finally decided, to just come out to show who she really are and to talk about it, and that's very encouraging because I know my process that I went through to talk about it, to be able to be in my freedom, to be able to support someone else, and just to be part of that. Like I said, it's a chance of a lifetime that you get to be in that environment, in that community, with people supporting them, and going through the process. Like I say, it's not easy. It is definitely not easy, and I'm just happy to be there. Happy to be
That
there.
was amazing, and like I said, I tried so hard to download it, but maybe I'll put it on my page so people can see how amazing that moment was. But I want to ask you a question, in terms of the Oscar night. Do you think the joke that Chris Rock was offensive? I mean, if you were just to you as a bald woman with alopecia, was that joke offensive to you?
It was offensive to me, but I don't condone violence. There's another way that he could have, taken care of that. But to the look on her face, what I saw is initial smile, but then an initial, like what's going on here? That it affected her to the heart. My take on it is people don't know unless you're there, living the life with them, supporting them, seeing their day in, day out transition, what they go through, then you may do anything. Emotionally, he may have been, watching her that moment when he's seen her at her lowest, being afraid, being fearful. And we never know what her thought process was, getting prepared for that. I'm going to these thousands and thousands of people, and it's very short time after I've actually disclosed that I have alopecia. And I look at it as if it was my child that someone said something to, or somebody was hurting my child, then my emotions are going to go, they're going to go out of control. So whether he thought that or not, we all have consequences when we do something that's out of line. So if it was my child and someone was attacking my child, and I knew that it was going to hurt my child, what would I do? What would my reaction be? Like pull out a gun, or would I shoot? Whatever. We don't know what that moment is where that moment is going to take you. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I
I was thinking about
I've seen, heard people tell their stories, how
yeah.
depressed they could be, that they want to commit suicide. So personal feelings, I get it, but the violence in that is not what I would be. Hopefully I wouldn't be part of that part,
But you know what I was thinking about, and I know this is totally different. You're at the Oscars, millions of people are watching. But have you ever walked into a comedy club and you might have been late or you sitting in the front row and the comedian is on you? I mean, that happens. You just sit up there and like laugh at yourself, and you just take it. Um, I just I just think, like you said, to me, and everybody can chime in because it's just my opinion. But GI Jane, she was bad. She was tough. She was a little bit like you. She was tough. She could handle herself, and I think the joke was funny. But hair is a very sensitive, you know, subject. So what do you think, September, in terms of the joke and things like that?
I think she's frozen.
Okay. What about you, Leif? What do you think?
Well, getting back to what you just said, I agree with that. But I also have to take my mindset out of the mindset of being a strong woman. Whereas I will have to put myself into her and into their family. We don't know what they going through behind closed doors. We don't know how she acting about the condition she's in.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Behind closed door, we never know. She might take this really, really hard, but she have a job to do, and she have things she have to do, and she will have to suck all of that in.
Mm.
I think that they just really snap. Like if it's my wife and she going through it hard and nobody else know what's going on but us, but I'm feeling it every day, so I know how she feel. So when somebody says something like that and she give me that look, I know she really in pain.
Mm.
For instance, look at that guy that played the Black Panther. He had cancer.
Yeah,
Nobody knew he had cancer but the people around him.
yeah, yeah,
When he passed away, it was like a surprise to everybody.
yeah. And they talked about him because he lost a lot of weight. I think his
Yeah,
name was
but
Chaz
we
Soulful.
didn't know
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
certain things you don't let go outside of your house, but it affect everybody in the house.
yeah. It
So
does.
that's how I looked at that also. But just like you said, G.I. Jane was a strong woman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. She was bad.
Yeah,
Sky,
she
are you
was
there?
bad.
You have any comments?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
Basically, it's funny what everyone's bringing up. I want to know why it's okay for men, which I find sexy, bald, but when a female is just as beautiful, why is that okay?
Yeah.
Where did that come from, and why is that accepted? But I know
I
a lot
think Mike. I
of
think Michael Jordan made that acceptable because he was tall, rich, bald, and ooh.
woo, he's a rare chocolate.
I think Michael Jordan just put that on the map.
Yeah,
But I think
Well,
the
not
sisters
just
are just
Michael
as
Jordan,
beautiful.
not just Michael Jordan. The one that really put it on the map was Black Moses,
oh yeah, Isaac Hayes.
Isaac Hayes.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah.
I guess my
They
question was,
called him
I'm sorry,
Black Moses.
True.
but why is it's acceptable, but for females, is that just the way the world is, or they
Well,
just
my opinion, I think is accepted among the female, because a lot of female, if you go back in the time of Africa, a lot of African was bald headed.
Yeah,
Mm.
but I'm just saying nowadays, the 20th century, because I know a lot of my mother's people from Barbados. There's a lot of sisters. That's what it is, and it's gorgeous. But I just want to know why they may, I know it's saying,
Well, why? My opinion of why, I think because a lot of sisters is confidence and they know who they are.
but I'm saying the more majority, non-sisters.
I think I know what you're saying,
I gotta
Sky,
be
but I
really,
think
yeah.
it's a matter of preference in terms of, men. Some men like natural women, some men
Mhm.
like makeup and hair and
Mhm.
weaves. I mean, some
Mhm.
women, I think bald headed men for me is just so darn sexy.
Yes, I agree.
And I just think it's a preference, but
Well, I'm glad
still,
y'all said that because I'm bald headed. And I really just start wearing my hair bald headed.
why?
Well, because I just wanted to change.
Mm,
And at any other time, in the winter, my hair is like red dark. In the summer, it's like it glows. So when I start wearing my hair short, I said, man, I just tried and told my mom, yo, cut it all off.
yeah, yeah,
And when
yeah,
I seen myself in pictures, I liked it. So I just kept it.
Mhm.
And that
yeah.
was within a year.
Hmm. What do you think, Darlene, in terms of Sky's question? I think people like what they like, and I just
Mhm.
think bald men. I think women think bald men are sexy, but I don't know if men feel like bald women are sexy.
I
What do
think
you
they
think?
sexy.
Yeah,
Some
yeah.
men I likes it, some from my perspective, there are men
Hmm.
that are like it that likes the ball. There's someone who don't. I mean, they like the hair. They like to be able to pull the hair and rub the hair and that. But being that I am bald and I know it's a part of me now, it's like I am who I am. You know,
Yeah, that's
I
right.
even, like sometimes like I don't want to shave my hair and I don't. Sometimes I'll put a hat on, I'll put a wrap on sometimes, and sometimes I
Hmm.
just go. And it's, it starts to grow on the parts that grow on the side and the back of my head, but I don't really care anymore. It's like
Yeah.
this is who I am, and I am who I am.
I
I
think it's
don't
really,
I
really
don't know why
sexy.
men are. I don't know why men don't like it, but I don't know. I don't get
Well,
it. But I
my
get the part that women themselves are more of a problem
Yeah.
because they want the hair. They want the long flowy hair. They want the look. They want what society has said they should look like. And
and that's what I was gonna just say.
yeah.
Mhm.
And
No,
we
no, no.
are
I mean,
starting a
honestly,
trend. It's a big trend, and there's more people. I mean, where I am right now, where I was 2018, I have seen more bald women in these settings, and I love it. I love it. I love the confidence, and some of them are not always as confident in themselves. I mean, for me myself, sometimes I'll look at some beautiful hair, even like yours, Jamila. Is like, and my girlfriend has really long and pretty hair, and I said, oh, I look at her sometimes, and I said, I wish I had hair, but that doesn't last very long because I know that's
Mm,
not being realistic. I know I can put
mm,
on a wig anytime to
yeah,
have all
yeah,
that going hair, but I don't want
Mhm.
it. I don't want
yeah,
it anymore.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Lay, you were going to say something?
well, yes, my opinion, I think a lot of sisters is getting in tune with who they are. And a lot of sisters that wear long hair, majority of them, it is not in tune with who they are because they trying to be something which they not. I mean, it's certain things is for us and certain things is not for us.
Mm-hmm.
So just like them sisters in Africa, it hurt me to my heart to see them dyeing their skin. And you talking about people from out of the motherland. How could you dye your skin? You don't know who you are.
No,
Queen
we
of
don't.
Sheba was so dark. If you read the Bible, Queen of Sheba say, "Why do you look at me like that?
Mhm.
Because of my dark skin?" She said, "This is the way God made me, and He made me complete."
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say that a lot of people want dark skin nowadays.
I was gonna
You
say.
know, I'm just saying. But I think, this is a great conversation. I was just thinking about the Braxtons. I know Tamara cut her hair off, and I think
That's
the
right.
other sister, Mara Tawana, cut her hair off. And I just think it's, for me, it's we have options. We can wear braids, we can wear
That's right.
weaves, we can wear
That's right.
wigs. I like the diversity. I
That's
can
right.
braid
Mm-hmm.
my hair up and put a wig on, and put it in a protective style, as they say, and I'm good. I just like diversity in. I don't know if it has anything to do with self-esteem for me, but I just like different looks. So
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow
That's
I might look totally different with some braids, and so um, I think we're gonna kind of wind it down. And I know, Miss Darlene, you've been on for a while, and I just appreciate you. So we're just gonna have, any last words, September, you want to say? But I love hair. I
me too.
love hair. I love hair.
So
Yes.
I want to
Right.
piggyback on what was mentioned about sisters. I've seen all nationalities, you know, all
Mm-hmm.
nationalities that are coming out with their bald head and accepting who they are.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the public doesn't see the the private pages of these women that are, any nationalities, kids from, I mean, locally, and more people, I see people, the younger people. And because I have a support group, I hear about all of the ones who are having challenges with it and not ready to live with who they are, live without hair. But it's not only us. I mean, if you're referring to sisters, your African American sister, it's worldwide. I mean, like I said, in this last year, I've
Mm-hmm.
seen, I couldn't imagine that there were that many bald women or women with alopecia or any type of hair loss that was in the world. So now that
Well, again,
all of this is being on notice, that we're being noticed, it's a great feeling. And we
Mm-hmm.
were walking down on the waterfront here in California, a group thing, and
well,
the guys were like, "So what are you guys representing?" And I said, "We are being who we are. We're bald women. We have what we call alopecia. Do you know what that is?" And a lot of people don't know what it is.
Yeah, it
So
does.
educating, and one of the great things that I think that has come out the Jada Pinkett, Rose Pickett scene is people are snooping around. They are learning what it is, and that's grand. That they want to find out what is this alopecia, and a lot of people say that she doesn't have alopecia; she just has a strip of her hair that's not growing. But they don't know. They really don't know the ins and outs of alopecia and how it works. So
I
I
was
would
just
well,
going to
say
say a lot
anybody.
of people have it and probably don't even know it. I'm sorry.
Exactly, and that's
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
I'm
And
sorry
that's
to
true.
butt
Mm-hmm.
in, but I didn't mean to cut
Exactly
you
true.
off. Yeah, yeah.
Because I've had people
Uh,
ask me, "Are you saying that we should go bald?" No, I'm not saying that you should go bald. Trust the process. Get there when you get there. I know for me, it was that. Nobody could tell me that I should cut my hair off, or I shouldn't wear wigs, or I shouldn't wear weaves. It's like what you are comfortable with. Be that,
well,
have that confidence, be content in where you are.
I would like to just iterate the reason why I said sisters,
Hmm.
and I'm definitely going to focus more on sisters because there's no other nationality is being degraded and focus on than our sisters. And this is why I stress sisters, and I want them to know, however they look good,
Mm.
especially with bald head.
Wow. Is that your final word, Mr. Lele? Bald
Yes,
is beautiful.
I want to thank her for coming on. I think this
Yes,
was a great conversation.
that's a great subject.
Definitely, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people and a lot of young sisters that's out there right now going through the same thing. I
Yeah.
want them to know, however they wear their hair or no hair, they
Mhm.
look good.
Hmm. Because
Mm.
it's you.
Thank you, Lay. That means a lot. That means a lot because you're contradicting what society says
Mm-hmm.
that
That's right.
you got to look a
That's
certain way,
right.
your hair got to
Hmm.
look a certain way. So
Exactly.
we need to hear that.
Exactly.
September Rain, do you have any final thoughts or anything
Yes, I'm
about this
just really
conversation?
happy. I'm just really happy that this topic was discussed today. And like I
Yeah.
said, Miss Darlene, I'm just so proud of you for your courage. Like you're so brave. There's so many people that you're just an impact reaching right now. So you
Yeah.
just keep standing. You just keep on
Yes.
standing. And God has a platform for you like right now. And he's going to
Yes.
continue to bring you around people. So just
Yes.
thank you for that.
Thank you.
Sky, do you have any final words?
Yeah, I have
We
some
can't see
final.
you, but we can hear you.
You can hear me? Okay, so my final words are, and it's quote, is that thank you, Miss Phillips. And like Jamila and Layla said, listen, quote, it's your choice. And September Rain will always be in there. Thank you so much. It's your
Aw.
choice.
Thank
It's your
you. You're
choice.
welcome.
Amen.
Yeah. Oh, you have any final closing words, Darlene, to anybody out there that may, have like their edges are gone, and people laugh and tell jokes about that,
That's
or,
ignorant, ignorant.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, just this is your time to say whatever you want to say.
Yes. I think people should get education is key to know how your hairstylist have them, to be someone who knows hair, to know scalp and what's happening, to pay attention to the changes in people's hair when they're doing it. Because, like me and other people, they don't look at their scalp that way. They don't see all of that. You know,
Right.
education is key. Educate yourself, and then bring that to your hairstylist and what's happening to you, because it's you that has to go through the process. So whatever it is, just trust the process, be content, be courageous, be cute. and and if you stick around long enough, you'll be contagious, that everybody will actually have their place and where they want to be in life. And
Yeah.
that's part of
Mhm.
as a life coach, transitional coach, that's where you want to be. You want to get to a place to where you can live courageously, fearlessly in the life and be happy.
Do you
Whatever.
think hairstylists are trained on scalp diseases, I guess, for lack of a better word? I mean, they could see dandruff or they may see some kind of informalities in your scalp. Are they really trained to do that? Or
Some
maybe they should
are. I
recommend?
have some who who didn't know. And my last hairstylist that I had, they were aware
Mm,
of what the scalp should look like, what's happening, telling me that this hairstyle is not going to work. Let's try this. So education, the hairstylist should be educated in what's going on, or notice, pay attention. It's not all about getting the money. Yeah, you get the money, but then your clients really say that you took their hair out. It's basically what they're going to
mhm,
think, because
yeah.
you're the ones who's in their head,
Mhm.
and you're the profession, on what it should look like or what it should be like. Recommendations on what you can do. Like I say, my last hairstylist, where this is not going to work for you. This is going to work. We can try this, and just be open to changes. But hairstylists, be educated on what's happening with your clients here, whether it's men or whoever, because alopecia can be anywhere at any time, and even parents who have that, your children are growing up, they don't know. If your child is losing their hair, get education, reach out for help on how to help yourself as well as help them. Because you're not going to do either. Right. I've had parents like, I don't know what to do. I'm at my last, my child this is their third round of losing their hair. How can he help? What can you give me? So it's just education. And like I said, I did a lot of education research myself to educate myself on what alopecia is, how it affects people. And that's what's key, to educate, motivate, let people know this is what's happening to you and give them the choice. They have a choice to take the treatment or not. So yes, you have a choice in life, and just trust the process, whatever that process is. And not only through hair loss, trust the process, whatever you're going through, that there is help available when you need it and when you're ready.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time, Darlene Phillips. If people want to reach out to you, do you have an email or a website that you can share with us?
I do.
Yeah, we'll put it in the we'll put it with your videos when I get those downloaded.
IG is FlyDoll530, and I'm on Facebook as Darlene Phillips, and my alopecia support group is Alopecia SH 2020 at yahoo.com.
And if you didn't get that, you can always inbox me, and I'll put you in touch with Darlene Phillips. And we so appreciate you, Miss Phillips. Your patience, your perseverance. We were supposed to do this a couple of weeks ago, and we're doing it now. So sometimes God's time is better than our time.
Exactly. And we'll continue to pray for you, each of you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
To network and get the word out, bring people together in peace and love.
Yes.
Amen.
So if you haven't checked out Choice TV on Roku, we have an app, Choice TV, Amazon Fire TV. I always want to say Amazon Prime because I love Amazon Prime, but it's Amazon Fire TV under Choice TV. And so that's where these videos are going, as well as all over the internet on YouTube. So please support us, because our goal is to enlighten, entertain, and educate. And I hope we accomplish those goals today. And, check us out next week. We'll be back. We're going to be consistent. We're going to be here. And I want to thank my co-host, Layla. You persevered. The invisible sky in the sky.
Look out the window and look up. I'm always there blessing y'all.
Sky's the limit.
And our producer, September Rain, she's going to be producing our show. And, just keeping us all together. And so God bless everybody. And we'll see you next week. And you know what, Miss Darlene? Down to 3, and we all going to do peace. All right, you ready?
If you guys know of anyone who needs support, you haven't reached out to me, I'm happy to support them in any way that they can when they're ready.
For sure.
Definitely.
For sure. All right, y'all ready? 1, 2, 3.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.